Right now, you're feeling it. Every time you swipe your card at the grocery store, every time you open your electric bill, every time rent goes up, but your paycheck doesn't. Your wallet feels tighter, your savings feel thinner, and your future feels more uncertain than it should. And just when millions of American families are trying to stretch every dollar, Washington just passed a massive $1.2 trillion spending bill. That's not millions. That's not billions. That's trillions of dollars. Your tax dollars, your future money, your children's money. The question isn't whether it passed. The real question is what actually passed, and how it quietly affects your daily life in ways most people won't realize until it hits their bank account, their job, their taxes, and their cost of living. This bill touches healthcare, defense, infrastructure, social programs, government operations, and economic stability. But buried inside hundreds of pages of political language are real-life consequences for you and your family. Some parts could protect stability. Some parts could raise pressure on inflation. Some parts could shape your future for years. And here's the part nobody tells you. When bills this large move this fast, the public often doesn't see the fine print until the impact already starts showing up in their monthly expenses. Today, we're breaking down exactly what passed, why it matters, what could change for your money, and the hidden moments most headlines won't explain. Stay with me, because this isn't politics. This is personal. Your paycheck, your groceries, your rent, your savings, and your financial security are all connected to this decision. Let's break it down clearly, simply, and honestly so you know exactly what's coming. Why this bill moved so fast. Here's the core problem you need to understand. Congress wasn't just debating a spending bill. They were racing against a shutdown deadline. When government funding runs out, agencies stop operating, workers get furloughed, services slow down, and economic uncertainty spreads fast. Lawmakers push this bill through to keep the government open and avoid chaos. On the surface, that sounds responsible. Nobody wants national disruption. But speed creates a different risk. When legislation moves fast, oversight shrinks, transparency weakens, and voters don't get enough time to understand what's really inside the package. A $1 trillion bill isn't a single decision. It's thousands of spending choices stitched together into one massive package that most Americans will never read. Some funds go toward maintaining government operations, some toward national security, some toward public programs, some toward infrastructure, some toward administrative costs. But when everything gets bundled together, it becomes harder to separate smart investment from wasteful spending. That's the real problem. You're being told the government avoided a crisis, but you're not being shown the long-term price tag on your household. When spending grows faster than revenue, the gap eventually gets filled by borrowing, taxes, or inflation. That doesn't show up immediately. It shows up quietly over time in higher costs, weaker purchasing power, and economic pressure on working families. The bill solves one short-term emergency, but may create longer-term pressure on the economy. And most Americans never get a chance to vote directly on these decisions. They just feel the results. Mini summary. The government avoided a shutdown, but rushed spending can hide future financial consequences for everyday Americans. What $1.2 trillion really means in real life. Let's put this number into perspective because trillion-dollar figures can feel abstract. $1 trillion is $1,000 billion. It's more money than most people can even visualize. If you spent $1 million every single day, it would take nearly 2,640 years to reach $1 trillion. Now imagine multiplying that scale by the daily decisions made in this bill. Every dollar has to come from somewhere. Taxes, borrowing, or future economic growth. When the government spends this much, it doesn't disappear into thin air. It circulates through contracts, payrolls, agencies, and programs. That circulation can stimulate parts of the economy, but it can also fuel inflation if too much money moves too quickly without productivity growth. Inflation directly hits you at the checkout line, gas pump, housing market, and insurance premiums. That's why massive spending decisions matter, even if you never interact with a government agency directly. Your dollar's purchasing power is shaped by national policy. Another important piece, interest on government debt. When spending exceeds revenue, borrowing increases. Borrowing means interest payments grow. Interest payments don't build roads, fund schools, or help families. They simply pay the cost of past decisions. Over time, that reduces flexibility for future budgets and increases pressure on taxpayers. Mini summary. A $1 trillion bill doesn't just fund programs. It reshapes inflation, debt, and the long-term financial environment that impacts your daily expenses. Where the money generally flows. While the bill bundles many areas together, spending packages like this usually divide into several major categories: government operations, defense and security, public services, infrastructure, healthcare systems, disaster readiness, and administrative functions. Government operations keep agencies running, from transportation oversight to public safety administration. Defense funding supports military readiness, technology upgrades, and global commitments. Infrastructure spending maintains roads, bridges, transit systems, and utilities that directly affect commuting, shipping costs, and local economies. Healthcare-related funding supports public programs, hospital reimbursements, research, and emergency readiness. Social services support vulnerable populations and stabilize economic pressure during uncertain times. Each category has ripple effects. When infrastructure improves, logistics become cheaper and faster, potentially lowering costs. When defense spending rises, manufacturing and technology sectors may benefit. When healthcare funding changes, insurance systems and hospital costs can shift. But here's the catch. Not every dollar spent creates equal value. Some spending delivers long-term productivity. Some spending simply maintains bureaucracy. That's why understanding where the money goes matters for your wallet. Even if a program doesn't affect you directly today, it can influence taxes, prices, and job markets tomorrow. Mini summary. Spending choices ripple through the economy, touching transportation, healthcare, jobs, prices, and taxes. How this can touch your wallet directly. You may be wondering, how does this hit me personally? Here's how. If government spending increases without matching economic growth, inflation pressure can rise. Inflation quietly reduces the buying power of your paycheck. Your rent increases faster, your groceries cost more, your savings buy less. Even small inflation changes compound over time. Another channel is taxation. While taxes may not change immediately, future budgets often look for revenue to offset rising debt. That can appear as higher taxes, reduced deductions, or changes in benefits eligibility. Interest rates also react to government borrowing levels. Higher debt can influence bond markets, which can ripple into mortgage rates, auto loans, and credit cards. If rates rise, borrowing becomes more expensive for families trying to buy homes, finance education, or start businesses. On the positive side, certain spending may stabilize jobs, improve infrastructure, and strengthen public services that support local economies. So the impact isn't one-dimensional. It's a balance of risk and opportunity. The key is awareness. When you understand how policy affects your money, you can plan smarter. Budgeting, saving, investing, and staying flexible. Mini summary. Spending decisions shape inflation, interest rates, taxes, and long-term household costs. What most people miss. Here's the part most headlines won't tell you. The impact of a spending bill rarely shows up immediately. It unfolds slowly, over months and sometimes years. At first, everything feels normal. Paychecks still arrive. Stores stay stocked. Markets adjust quietly, but then subtle shifts begin. Prices creep upward. Loan rates change. Local taxes adjust. Public services evolve. That's why people often feel blindsided later and wonder, how did this happen so fast? It didn't happen fast. It happened quietly. Policies compound. Decisions stack on top of each other. One spending bill alone may not move the needle dramatically, but repeated large packages over time absolutely do. That's why staying informed matters more than reacting after the fact. Mini summary. The biggest effects are delayed. And that's exactly why awareness matters now. Short-term stability versus long-term pressure. In the short term, this bill prevents disruption. Government workers stay employed. Services continue operating. Markets avoid panic. Businesses relying on government contracts maintain stability. That's positive. But long-term pressure builds when spending consistently exceeds revenue. Debt accumulates. Interest obligations grow. Fiscal flexibility shrinks. Future lawmakers face harder choices. That pressure eventually reaches households through inflation, taxes, or reduced benefits. It's like using a credit card. Short-term relief feels good, but the bill always arrives later. Responsible growth balances investment with sustainability. Mini summary. Stability now may come with financial pressure later. Why transparency matters for you. Transparency isn't just a political concept. It's a financial protection tool for citizens. When voters understand how money is allocated, accountability improves. When spending is rushed and complex, oversight weakens. That increases the risk of inefficiency, misallocation, and reduced trust. Your tax dollars represent your labor, your time, and your effort. You deserve clarity on how they're used. Awareness empowers smarter civic engagement and personal financial planning. Mini summary. Transparency protects taxpayers and strengthens accountability. How families may feel the shift. Families often feel policy impacts indirectly. Higher childcare costs, increased insurance premiums, rising utility bills, transportation expenses, and food prices. Even small increases across multiple categories strain monthly budgets. Fixed-income households feel this pressure fastest. That's why economic decisions matter far beyond Washington headlines. Mini summary. Household budgets reflect national policy decisions over time. What you should watch next. Keep an eye on inflation trends, interest rate changes, tax discussions, and local cost of living shifts. These indicators reveal how policy decisions are filtering into everyday life. Staying informed gives you a financial advantage. Mini summary. Watch economic signals closely. The next major budget debate will build on this one. Spending patterns compound. Future bills often expand previous frameworks. The story doesn't end here, it evolves. Your awareness today prepares you for tomorrow. Mini summary. Today's decision shapes tomorrow's choices. Why your voice still matters. Voting, staying informed, and engaging responsibly keeps leaders accountable. Policy impacts real families, not abstract numbers. Your awareness influences future outcomes. Mini summary. Civic awareness protects financial stability. Opportunity inside. Uncertainty, change creates opportunity. Smart planning, disciplined saving, diversified income, and informed decisions protect families during uncertain times. Knowledge reduces fear and increases control. Mini summary. Preparation turns uncertainty into strength. Final suspense build. So now you know, this bill isn't just about politics. It's about your paycheck, your bills, your future. The real impact unfolds quietly. Stay alert, stay informed, watch the trends. Your financial future depends on it. Mini summary. Awareness today prevents regret tomorrow. You deserve clarity, not confusion. You deserve truth, not headlines. And you deserve to understand how decisions made far away shape your everyday life. If this breakdown helped you see the bigger picture, stay connected. Subscribe for ongoing updates, real explanations, and clear financial news that protects your future. Share this with someone who cares about their family's financial stability, because staying informed isn't optional anymore. It's your strongest financial defense.